warfare.
Some intense shit, man.
Going hot.
On my count. 1, 2, 3.
It was very intense. Didn't really know what to expect going into this one because I didn't really read up much on the story. All I knew was that it was a true story told by Ray Mendoza, an Iraqi war vet, now consultant to Hollywood.
He co-directed this with Alex Garland.
Yeah, which is kind of cool that he was able to get into that position and do that. And I thought maybe he might end up being the main character, but he really is just part of the ensemble.
It's an ensemble for sure. There's
yeah.
really no one that spearheads the whole thing, and it's good for that.
It is. But yeah, very different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be kind of like a Black Hawk Down.
It's like in the vein of that, but told completely differently. You know what I mean?
Very differently,
yeah.
And much realer.
Yeah, exactly. And I love me some Black Hawk Down. That is like one of my favorite movies. Definitely, top 3 probably war movies of all time.
Yeah.
But it's a Ridley Scott film. It's highly
It's
stylized.
a highly polished Hollywood war film.
Yeah, but in the best sense possible.
Yeah.
Fuck, that movie's awesome.
Right. Instead of like, a small group of guys mowing their way through hundreds of fucking Mogadishu guys, whatever. This felt a little more like equal in the fighting, with the exception of like, oh, we're going to do a flyover and scare them or whatever.
Yeah.
With the exception of that and like when the tanks come in at the end. It felt like they were in a much more dire situation.
When you have a Hollywood production like Black Hawk Down, you have some of the crybaby critics that cry, it's jingoistic. That is such a fucking gay pussy term. Showing the military in a positive light means you're jingoistic, you know what I mean? So they gotta like turn Josh Hartnett's character slightly lib in that movie,
Sergeant Eversman, you really like the skinnies?
It's not that I like him or I don't like him. I respect him.
The sergeant is a bit of an idealist.
He understands like the Mogadishuans,
I wonder why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, there was none of that bullshit in this movie. There's no character like having those like reflections on.
No, because that's kind of weird for that to just happen in this moment. These guys are there doing a job and they're focused on their job, and the movie just shows you the fucking hell that they go through.
Where are you guys?
Look for the blood and the smoke. Inbound! Find cover downstairs!
In the dead of night, they sneak into this family's house and just take it over.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when the house is getting like shot up, like their people are like covering that family and making sure they're protected, as even though they put them in this situation. It's like they're not just ignoring them.
Yeah.
So that kind of like cancels itself out if you're gonna look at it like from a messaging standpoint.
Well, that's good news.
I thought it was excellent how the movie started with the whole music video they're watching, and they're all just like pumped up and dancing and like going nuts.
Exercise chicks.
Yeah, that was a fantastic opening.
It was so good. Yeah.
And then it just cuts and like we're in it now.
Well, I mean, even before the hell starts, it just shows that sort of like hurry up and wait mundaneness of the whole situation.
Like the first 30 minutes of this movie, it's just very slow and methodical in how it just shows you the mundane.
Yeah.
Like they're just sitting around waiting, they're talking on their comms, they're getting positions, they're looking out the window, and you're just like, okay, something's gonna happen at some point. You just don't know when.
It's very technical, but at the same time, they use it as an opportunity to like introduce the characters and their personalities come out.
Yes. And there's not like extreme heavy characterization. It's like you get a little bit here and there from everybody. And of course, I think my favorite part was when, what's his name? Cosmo?
It's Cosmo. It's Chinese.
He gets off his gun to stretch and the other guy gets on, and like, not like he had a shot, but doesn't take the shot. Like the guy gets on the comm, he's like, weak.
Yeah.
And then Cosmo walks over, he's like, you didn't take the shot? Weak.
Yeah.
The camaraderie was good. It was there. Like just little things like when
the ball busting that guy
when the guy takes a swig of the water and then spits back in and hands it to the other guy, and of course he drinks out of it.
Yeah.
Like, those little touches were nice. And a lot of times in war movies, you kind of get lost with like who's who. This movie did a pretty decent job like showing you each character we're going to be following, getting a little bit of their personality, and then you kind of like know who they are, what they're doing, and that was done pretty well.
No, you're right about
Like, I was
that.
never confused at like who we were looking at. Even
Yeah.
like sometimes like, oh, everyone's got a helmet on, but I still knew who everybody was.
Bringing it back to Black Hawk Down,
Yeah.
I've seen that movie many times, and now when I watch it, I know who everyone is. But the first time I saw that film, as shit starts, it's kind of chaotic, and you don't quite know. You know that's Josh Hartnett. You know that's Tom Sizemore.
Sure, but the
You got that,
secondary
but like the
yeah.
secondary characters, they kind of all blend. You know.
Yeah.
But this, you're right.
This
they
movie
did a great
gives
job
you
with
enough
that.
time with each person that you're like, okay, here's the crew we're following.
Yeah.
And then when shit goes down, you know who's who, which was great. That grenade comes through the hole, and you're like, how the fuck did somebody get a grenade through that hole?
I'm assuming that's how big the hole really was. It's like this fucking big that they like basically just made a hole so they can put the sniper rifle through.
Yeah.
And some fucking Iraqi threw.
Yeah, because there was a line earlier where they were like, oh yeah, our roof's like just barely connected to that roof. Like, anybody watching that? No. Okay, well, we should keep an eye on that. And of course you're thinking about that, and then somebody probably hopped over, ran over with a grenade, was just like, whoop, and that got everything going. And you're just like, oh shit, half these guys in this room are dead. And it's like, no, this is like very realistic. Like, this one guy flipped off, this guy's in the corner, like they got out of there. They were injured a little bit, but it's like, okay. And then you don't just rush into the next thing. The movie takes its time and shows you the aftermath of that blast. The minor injuries, everybody's like shook now, everyone's like on edge, and they're like, okay, we got one injured guy here, it's like his hand was fucked up, we got to get this guy out of here. Everything's kind of like building a little bit, and then the IED goes off.
Yeah.
And that's when the movie like really kicks into high gear and then never slows down.
Yeah, it's just like fucked up after that, but great, like really, really well done. As soon as that bomb goes off, holy shit, it just sucks for them.
Yeah, it really paints the picture.
The whole time I was watching it, I was like, thank God I didn't fucking enlist after 9/11.
I was thinking the same thing, like, God, yeah, these guys, the fucking balls on them, and it's like...
Seriously, yeah, some serious fucking balls.
You got some big, round, hairy corners.
When they drag Joseph Quinn inside, and he's just like screaming the whole time because one of his fucking legs is like hamburger, that was very effective.
Then they drag Cosmo Jarvis, who plays the sniper.
Yeah, and you see like half the dudes are like shell-shocked, they're like... oh yeah, help me drag him in. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like they drag him in, and he's just lying there the whole time while Quinn is screaming.
Yeah. Well, then after a while, he wakes up.
He wakes up and
he's just like, oh,
fucking morphine,
yeah.
give me morphine. Yeah, I mean, you have to like laugh at those moments because those lines are good, but you're just like, fuck, yeah, give this guy some goddamn morphine.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but like pretty much the whole audience that we watched this with were guys.
Yeah.
And like all of us were kind of reacting the same way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
Like, oh, fuck. But then there were a couple moments where we laughed.
Yeah. And like we just sort of relate to those guys. And like you hope that if you were in a situation like that, you'd be on top of it the way they are, hopefully even more, you know?
Right.
But like you just never, I don't know. Like I've never been in a situation
Well, yeah,
like that.
like
I
it's
have no
kind of
idea.
like the two guys that were injured the most were kind of portrayed earlier in the film as some of the more competent, most competent guys in the group. Like you get a sense of like everybody's kind of like good at what they do, but when the shit hits the fan, certain characters are just like start getting a little twitchy.
You twos always were a bit twitchy.
Right? But it's like, how would you react in that situation? This is kind of like, this is very realistic.
This is Frogman 6 Romeo. We need to evac at our last known position.
Copy one, we're in contact too.
You coming to you or you coming to us?
Basically, the whole thing becomes about having to evacuate the two injured. So now another team is trying to get to them.
Yeah, there's like other groups of soldiers in the city, but apparently like there's like this massive jihad going on and like everybody's under attack, so they're trying to get to the group we're following, their location.
Which is fucking awesome.
They're not really taking any hits.
No, they're like covering each other.
Yeah,
like
they're like
doing
very
it
tight.
Yes.
And then they come in the house and they're just like, what the fuck's going on in here?
Yeah.
And
like, yeah, you brought up something interesting after we were done watching it.
Like they walk in and you're just like, okay, these guys are like pretty commanding now. It feels like the A squad just showed up and we've been following the B squad the whole time, which is like, I felt shitty for
you
thinking
feel bad,
that.
but I literally thought the same thing as I was watching it. I'm like,
they haven't gone through what these guys have gone through.
But you think that, but they kind of have. They've been under fire the whole time they're out there.
It's like,
you know?
True, yeah. The guy who was leading that group who comes in and kind of like takes over from Will Poulter, he kind of gets like shell-shocked and like just checks out. He just gets fucked up, like not physically, but just mentally.
I'm fucked up.
So he tells this guy to take over, and this guy starts like barking orders and he's on it.
Yeah.
And this other guy comes in and he bumps into Quinn's leg and he's like screaming and he's like, watch him. And then he bends down. He's like, "Come on, man, you're fine. Let's go. And it's like just the fucking
at one point he says something like walk on it, limp on it, or something like. I can't remember what the line was, but
God guy's lying there with his legs blown off, and he's like, "You got this, bro. You're a frogman. Let's go. It's like, okay, dude, chill out.
Chill out.
He comes in like fucking asshole. You could understand where like Mendoza's character's been taking care of him. Like they had to put that tourniquet on his leg, which was a rough scene.
Yeah.
But when that guy comes in, you're just like, okay, you almost like resent him a little bit. Like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But still, they come in like hot, and they're like, we got this situation under control.
Yeah,
now.
besides that hot head, like everyone
Yeah.
else though, you're kind of, like you said, these guys are fucking cool. Like, you're almost like, should have been following them. You feel bad for feeling that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt shitty for thinking that.
Yes.
But I still thought it.
The guys that were in that house, like they went through tons of shit.
Yes,
and
they did.
I'm not saying that they didn't. They're like way fucking more brave than I will ever be. You know what I mean? And the story was still great, but those guys were just so cool. You sort of wanted to see their journey getting there.
Like when the
know?
comms guy was like, oh yeah, they won't send in the Bradleys because they need like a CO's authorization. He's like, so fucking pretend to be
pretend
a
like
CO
yeah,
and get it
exactly.
done.
That was
He's like,
fucking awesome.
Okay, and he did it. That was great. And they were like, okay, we're coming now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And then their two Bradleys showed up. They got the guns on them, and we're just like, can they just start unloading into these buildings? All these guys like hiding like cockroaches in these buildings.
Fucking roaches, dude. Fuck those guys.
So the guy's still in the house. They're like, oh yeah, we're like pinned down. He's just like, yo, just light up every building, including ours on the second
just shoot the second floor. Just blow it away.
And they do it. It's so awesome.
It's fucking dope. It's
Yeah.
like so cathartic at that
Yeah.
point. And that's basically the end of the movie.
They don't get into like any specifics about the geopolitics, the battle, the war itself. It's like, nope, here's like this slice of a battle. You see what these guys go through. There's no score in the entire film.
Yeah, and it feels very real time almost.
Yes, it
you
does.
know what I mean?
Yeah. They get evac'd out, and like the family whose house they took over, they come walking out like, oh, okay. They're gone, I guess.
That's so great.
Their whole fucking house is destroyed, which sucks. That's the end of the movie. And then they have that whole like end scene where they show all the real people, but like 90% of those cards were
Their faces blurred out.
Their faces were blurred out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense, you know. They make a point in the beginning of saying like the whole movie is based on just memory.
Yes.
In this situation, people are going to have like wildly different memories, and you kind of have to piece it together. You know, you said something after we left the theater, like it'd be cool to see a story like this told through each person's perspective, just getting their take on it. And even if like there are differences in details, that'd be kind of cool to see in a narrative, like how that would play out.
Even if they were like wildly different.
Yeah.
Not even just details.
Like what did you remember in this situation versus the guy sitting right next to you?
Yeah,
like, while bullets are flying around.
That could be kind of cool, you know?
Yes, it's very cool.
It was kind of cool seeing someone like Alex Garland teaming up with Mendoza to co-direct.
So he was the technical advisor on Civil War, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that relationship led them to this film. And in my opinion, in Civil War, all the battle shit was the best part of that movie.
Right.
You know?
Watching this film outside of like the very realistic battle stuff, it didn't really feel like an Alex Garland film in some ways. Watch a movie like Civil War and you're following these like journalists and everything, even though it's like a very gritty, raw film, like it still feels like you're following these very Hollywood written characters.
Sure.
This movie did not.
No, it did not at all. That's
every
true.
character felt very realistic and like written in a very clean, like normal way.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's rank it.
What do you give this?
I went 8 out of 10. Any nitpicks I had were small. I don't know how much I'd come back to it. I feel like it's definitely a theater movie.
I also give it an 8 out of 10. Because there's nothing wrong with the movie necessarily, but I guess I just kind of go back to that rewatchability factor.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really have that like a Black Hawk Down or even Saving Private Ryan has for myself, you know? Definitely see this at the movie theater though. We didn't really talk about the sound design. It was a fucking masterclass.
Yes, sound design, fantastic.
We didn't see it in the Dolby Atmos theater, which is a little annoying because it was probably amazing and I've heard that it is really good in there. But even from just like the standard surround sound setup that we had, it was...
And I think it was the same sound design team that did Civil War.
Yes.
And the sound design in that was fantastic.
That was one of the best sound design movies of last year.
Yeah.
Like that and Dune were probably the best.
Yeah, no, from a technical standpoint, very solid.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Solid.
And then on the other scale, our wonderful rainbow scale?
Nope.
Nope.
0 rainbows.
0. We're going 0 in this one. If you find something, you're looking really hard for it.
Absolutely, and most likely Libs made this movie, or Alex Garland certainly. I don't even know what his politics are for sure.
Yeah.
But based on Civil War, you kind of can,
right. I don't know what Ray Mendoza's politics are either, but like it doesn't really matter because they're not in the movie.
And that's great. That is so
this
good.
This is just like, here's to the best of our recollection, something that happened on this day in Iraq, and this is it. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't get into anything else.
Very refreshing.
Yeah.
So
highly recommend.
Solid. Check it out.